Let's talk about a piece of advice you've probably heard a million times, the idea that hardship is somehow the secret ingredient to a better life. But what if that's not just a little bit wrong, but actually dangerously misleading? Well, today we're diving into a really powerful essay by the author Xu Feng of Life Shenuan that argues exactly that. So let's get right to it and look at the core idea we're going to be questioning.
All right, first up, this popular saying. Is it a real source of wisdom, passed down through the ages, or is it maybe just a harmful myth? Let's look at the statement itself.
So here it is. This is the big one. The idea that every single person who causes you suffering, a difficult boss, a toxic friend, any hardship you face, is secretly a guide on your path to greatness. And, it sounds kind of profound, doesn't it? Almost poetic. But as Xu Feng argues, the moment you really start to pick it apart, the whole logic just begins to crumble.
Now, to be fair, the author isn't just throwing out all classical philosophy. Not at all. Ancient texts like the Tao Te Ching absolutely teach that fortune and misfortune are basically two sides of the same coin, that you can find positive lessons in hardship. But, and this is really the crucial point here, that is a world away from saying that anyone who actively hurts you is doing you a favor. This modern saying takes that nuanced ancient idea and just blows it up into this really flawed, dangerous absolute.
Okay, so let's really dig in and unpack the logic. If we take this saying at face value and follow it all the way to its logical conclusion, well, where exactly does that get us?
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, because what happens when you flip the logic on its head? I mean, if we accept that pain leads to achievement, then the opposite must also be true, right? Happiness and joy must lead to ruin? And if the people who harm you are your greatest allies, then it follows that the people who bring you joy, freedom, and support, well, they must actually be harming you. Does that make any sense at all? The people who lift you up are secretly trying to tear you down? Of course not. It's a totally absurd conclusion, and it really exposes the fundamental flaw in that original saying.
All right, now for some pretty extreme examples. The author argues that the best way to test this logic is to apply it to the real world. So let's see how well it holds up under pressure. This is a stark question, I know, and it's uncomfortable, but it's a necessary one. If anyone who brings you pain is here to help you, does that include a criminal who inflicts the most profound suffering imaginable by taking someone you love? Can we honestly look at that situation and say that person was there to help complete the victim's family? The author's point is that the saying just completely collapses the second it's faced with real tragedy. And let's scale that up. What about a tyrant or a corrupt regime that oppresses and exploits its people, making their lives a living hell? According to the logic of the saying, that ruler is actually a great benefactor, helping millions of people achieve their destiny through suffering. It's a conclusion that justifies history, morality, and plain old common sense.
And this right here, this shows the final absurd place this logic takes us. If we actually follow the saying, then this whole list, liars, thieves, bullies, con artists, these aren't villains. Nope, there are secret helpers, are spiritual guides. Should we be thanking them for the pain they cause? The author argues that reframing harm as help isn't just illogical, it's a complete moral distortion.
So, okay, if the logic is flawed, what about the central word here, achievement? The author says we first need to get a handle on what we're actually striving for in the first place.
See, according to Xu Feng, achievement isn't some abstract spiritual prize that you win by enduring suffering. It's actually much more personal and straightforward than that. It simply means fulfilling your own wishes, your own aspirations, creating the life you actually want to live. It's about building, not just enduring.
With that definition in mind, the central question becomes much, much clearer. Can being lied to, or robbed, or oppressed really help you fulfill your deepest wishes? When someone harms your family or drives you from your home, are they helping you build a life you dream of? The answer, of course, is a pretty resounding no. Pain is an obstacle to our wishes. It's not a vehicle for them.
So if suffering isn't the key, then what is? Well, the essay wraps up by showing us where growth really thrives, the true environment for elevating one's life.
And this right here is the core takeaway of this entire analysis. The author argues that true achievement, the fulfillment of our most beautiful dreams, doesn't grow from the soil of misery. No, it grows in an environment of happiness, freedom, and joy. It's these positive forces that empower us, not the negative ones that are designed to break us down.
This slide just lays it all out so clearly, doesn't it? A really stark comparison. On one side, you have an environment of safety, freedom, and order. And that's where kindness, personal growth, and beautiful goals can actually flourish. But on the other side,
An environment of cruelty, deception, and chaos, it doesn't build character. It breeds anger, irrationality, and monsters. In the end, you become a product of the world you live in.
And that brings us right back to the final question the author leaves us with. After breaking down the logic, looking at the real-world consequences, and redefining what achievement even means, we're left to reconsider that initial piece of popular wisdom. So, do you still believe that anyone who brings you pain is here to complete you? Or is the pursuit of happiness, freedom, and joy the true path to elevating our lives? That's definitely something to think about.